The morning mist clung to the rolling hills, softening the outline of castles perched atop craggy cliffs. Horses snorted in the stables, the sound echoing through the stone corridors of the fortress. The banners of noble houses fluttered gently in the breeze, their colors vibrant against the gray sky. This was a world of honor and duty, of chivalry and steel, where the lives of knights were bound by codes older than the stones beneath their feet. Imagine standing on the cold cobblestones of a medieval courtyard. The scent of roasting meat drifts from the kitchens, mingling with the tang of metal from the armory. Knights, clad in chainmail and polished armor, practice their strikes, their swords ringing against wooden dummies and each other. Squires scurry around, carrying water, sharpening blades, and learning the ways of the warrior. It is a world alive with discipline, courage, and the quiet tension of men preparing to face destiny. Among these knights was Sir Alaric, a young but determined warrior, whose name was whispered with respect throughout the kingdom. He had trained since boyhood, learning not only the art of combat, but the principles of loyalty, honor, and service. His family had served the crown for generations, and now it was his turn to uphold their legacy. Every day brought new lessons: how to ride into battle without fear, how to hold a shield against overwhelming odds, and how to make choices that could shape the fate of both lord and land. The kingdom was vast, with forests that stretched endlessly, rivers that gleamed like silver, and villages scattered across the rolling fields. But peace was never guaranteed. Bandits prowled the forests, rival lords plotted in shadowed halls, and far beyond the borders, enemies waited for the perfect moment to strike. Every knight understood that vigilance was not a choice. It was a duty. The sword was not just a weapon. It was a promise, a symbol of protection and justice. Sir Alaric's first true challenge came sooner than expected. A neighboring baron had raised an army, claiming a borderland that rightfully belonged to Alaric's lord. The clash was inevitable, and Alaric rode at the head of his contingent, armor shining in the morning sun, lance poised for the first charge. The battlefield was a symphony of chaos, hooves pounding, swords clashing, and cries of valor and pain mingling in the air. Yet amidst the violence, the code of chivalry remained. Mercy was shown to those who surrendered, and honor dictated the conduct of every strike. When the dust settled, victory had been won, but the cost was clear. Alaric walked among the fallen, offering prayers for the dead and comforting the wounded. He understood, more deeply than ever, that being a knight was not just about glory. It was about responsibility, courage, and the delicate balance between life and death. Back at the castle, life continued with its rhythm of training, feasts, and counsel. Alaric honed his skills with sword and bow, studied strategy and diplomacy, and listened to the wisdom of elders who had witnessed decades of war and peace. The feasts were grand, with long tables laden with roasted meats, bread, and sweetmeat. Bards told stories of legendary heroes, dragons vanquished, and kingdoms saved, stories that inspired every knight to aspire beyond mere survival, to chase greatness in both action and character. The nights were filled with a different kind of challenge. As Alaric gazed at the stars from the castle battlements, he contemplated the vastness of the world and the weight of his duties. Oaths made to the king, promises sworn to comrades, and codes etched into his very soul guided his every decision. In those quiet hours, he could hear the whispers of history, the echoes of knights who had come before him, of battles won and lost, of legends waiting to be written. And yet, it was not only the battles and tournaments that defined a knight. There were quests for knowledge, journeys to aid those in need, and challenges that tested the mind as much as the body. Sir Alaric often ventured into neighboring lands, seeking wisdom from sages, aiding villagers, and facing creatures and circumstances that seemed pulled from the pages of myth. Every adventure became part of a larger story, woven into the fabric of the kingdom, connecting the mortal with the heroic. On one such journey, Alaric encountered a mysterious forest said to be enchanted. The trees towered impossibly high, their leaves whispering secrets as the wind passed through them. Shadows moved strangely, and the air felt alive with unseen eyes watching, judging, and guiding. Within that forest, knights learned lessons that no battlefield could teach: patience, perception, and the courage to face the unknown. Here, in the hush of the ancient woods, Alaric discovered a hidden glade, where the light filtered like liquid gold through the canopy. A crystal-clear stream ran through it, and delicate flowers bloomed along the banks, untouched by time. It was a place of reflection and revelation. The young knight understood that strength alone was not enough. Wisdom, humility, and honor were equally vital. The forest had tested him, but it had also gifted insight, a quiet reminder that the path of a knight was as much about the inner journey as it was about battles and conquests. As the sun set, casting long shadows across the castle walls and forested valleys, Sir Alaric returned to his companions. The tales of the day, the lessons learned, and the adventures encountered were added to the ever-growing saga of the knights of the realm. Every day, every challenge, every moment of reflection contributed to a legacy that would echo through generations. And if you listen closely, even now, you can almost hear the clatter of hooves on stone, the rustle of armor, and the soft murmur of ancient halls where knights once trained and dreamed. The castle gates closed behind Sir Alaric as twilight settled over the kingdom, casting long shadows across the stone walls and cobbled streets. Lanterns flickered in the courtyards, and the scent of burning torches mingled with the evening air. Yet, even as night embraced the land, the spirit of the knights remained vigilant. Their journey, both of honor and adventure, was far from over. The next morning brought news of unrest in a distant village. A band of marauders had raided the harvest, threatening famine and despair. Alaric, knowing that protection was his sacred duty, gathered his companions and rode forth with purpose. The horses' hooves drummed like distant thunder, a steady reminder that the knight's courage was unyielding. Upon reaching the village, Alaric surveyed the damage. Fields had been trampled, homes ransacked, and fear lingered in the air like a heavy fog. The villagers looked to him with hope, their eyes pleading for salvation. Alaric nodded, understanding that a knight's role extended beyond the battlefield. It was his responsibility to bring justice, reassurance, and courage to those in need. The confrontation with the marauders was swift and disciplined. Shields clashed, swords rang out, and strategy guided every movement. Alaric's leadership was evident. Each man and woman knew their role, trusting in both training and the judgment of their leader. By dusk, the marauders had been driven away, leaving the village intact and its people inspired by the bravery and discipline of the knights. Yet danger, as always, found its way. Rumors spoke of a shadowy figure, a rogue knight whose skill with the blade rivaled any in the kingdom. He moved in secret, sowing discord among lords and inciting fear wherever he appeared. Alaric understood that such a foe required not only strength but cunning, and preparation for their inevitable encounter would test every lesson he had learned. Days turned into weeks, and Alaric's journeys took him beyond familiar lands. He traversed forests whispered to be enchanted, where ancient spirits lingered among moss-covered stones and silver streams. He climbed mountains where the wind cut like blades, testing endurance and resolve. Each step, each challenge, each encounter became part of the living saga, stories that would be recounted in halls and taverns for generations. It was during one of these expeditions that Alaric faced a trial unlike any other. A mystical creature, larger than any wolf or bear, emerged from the shadows of a dark glen. Its eyes glowed with a wisdom and fury that seemed almost human, and its presence exuded an otherworldly power. The knights formed a circle, shields raised, swords steady, as Alaric stepped forward. He remembered the teachings of the elders and the whispers of ancient forests. Courage alone was insufficient. Wisdom, patience, and respect for forces beyond human understanding were required. The creature circled, testing their resolve, its gaze piercing, assessing the hearts of those who dared face it. Slowly, with calm and measured steps, Alaric approached, extending an offering of peace, a symbol of the knight's honor and restraint. The creature paused, then, as if recognizing the integrity of Alaric and his men, retreated into the shadows, leaving behind a sense of awe and revelation. The knights understood that the world was vast, mysterious, and often governed by forces beyond mortal comprehension. And in that realization, they found a deeper strength, one that combined the bravery of arms with the wisdom of spirit. Returning to the castle, Alaric shared the tale with fellow knights and scribes, ensuring that the story of courage, discipline, and respect for the unseen would endure. It became a lesson. A knight's legacy was not defined solely by battles won or lands conquered, but by honor maintained, wisdom exercised, and compassion shown. As autumn approached, tournaments were held to test skill, strategy, and bravery. Lances shattered on shields, swords clashed in rhythmic dance, and the crowd cheered with awe and admiration. Alaric competed not for glory alone, but to uphold the code of chivalry, demonstrating leadership, valor, and integrity. His victories and conduct inspired younger squires, ensuring that the spirit of knighthood would continue long after the banners were furled. Even in the quiet of night, the lessons of a knight's life resonated. Alaric often walked the ramparts under a canopy of stars, reflecting on the interconnectedness of duty, honor, and courage. Each star seemed to mirror the deeds of those who had come before, a silent testament to the timeless principles that guided the knights of the medieval world. Fabaloon, if the stories of bravery, honor, and mystical adventure stirred your imagination. Leave a comment sharing which part captivated you most. And don't forget to subscribe. More tales of legendary heroes and ancient adventures are on the way. Crescent Moon. The castle slept under the watchful eyes of the stars. The banners fluttered softly in the night breeze, and the echoes of clashing swords, galloping hooves, and whispered oaths lingered in the mind. Sir Alaric's journey, full of courage, wisdom, and enduring honor, guides us gently into dreams, where the medieval world unfolds quietly, awaiting the next adventure.